Do you know how many Black-owned businesses in North Carolina generate tens or even hundreds of millions a year? 1, 2, try again. What you're about to witness is a jaw-dropping countdown of some of the largest Black-owned companies quietly controlling massive pieces of North Carolina's economy. And stick around because by the time we hit number 1, your idea of who really runs this state is going to flip entirely. Number 10. McFarland Construction, Charlotte. Charlotte's skyline tells a story of speed, ambition, and constant reinvention. And McFarland Construction has been laying bricks into that story for years. While most people recognize the city for banking logos and glass towers, McFarland operates closer to the steel and concrete, where real money changes hands and long-term trust is earned, project by project. At its core, McFarland Construction is a full-service commercial general contractor and design-build firm, headquartered in Charlotte but operating far beyond city limits. Their work stretches across North Carolina and into the broader Southeast, touching office developments, healthcare facilities, financial institutions, and urgent care centers that keep growing cities functional. These are not vanity builds meant for Instagram reels. They're the kind of projects that demand discipline, coordination, and the ability to deliver on time when stakes are high. Healthcare work alone tells you a lot about where a construction firm sits in the pecking order. McFarland has completed projects tied to Novant Health, a major regional healthcare system that doesn't gamble on inexperienced partners. Add to that institutional builds like the Trulient Federal Credit Union Operations Center in Winston-Salem, plus urgent care facilities such as Pinnacle Urgent Care in Lexington, and a clear pattern emerges. This is a company trusted with infrastructure people depend on daily. And while revenue figures aren't public, construction tells its own truth. Corporate headquarters, medical facilities, and institutional projects tend to carry higher per-project values and slimmer tolerance for mistakes. That places McFarland comfortably among North Carolina's most trusted Black-owned construction firms, especially in a sector where scale is earned slowly and lost quickly. And from steel beams and blueprints, we now head west, where a coffee shop became the economic heartbeat of an entire Black business ecosystem. Number 9. Grind Coffee Shop, Asheville. Grind Coffee doesn't look like a heavyweight at first glance. No massive headquarters and no cranes overhead. Just a warm, intentional space sitting at 346 Depot Street in Asheville's River Arts District. But step inside, and you realize this place operates less like a cafe and more like an economic control room. Founded in September 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic and nationwide unrest, Grind emerged during a moment when most hospitality businesses were simply trying to survive. Instead of retreating, founders Jay Hackett and Gene Edison built something layered. Yes, Grind serves excellent coffee, pastries, and food. But that's only the front door. Behind the espresso machine is a co-working and event hub designed specifically for Black entrepreneurs. Members gain access to meeting rooms, printers, mailboxes, networking opportunities, and something far more valuable in Asheville: proximity. Grind sits at a critical junction between historically Black neighborhoods and the city's booming creative economy, physically anchoring Black business presence in a district shaped by art, tourism, and development. Jay Hackett's fingerprints are all over this vision. Long before Grind, he founded Black Wall Street AVL, an incubator aimed at increasing Black business ownership in Asheville. His own journey includes education at UNC Asheville, nonprofit leadership at Green Opportunities, and the kind of hard-earned perspective that comes from navigating setbacks and rebuilding with intention. His co-founder, Gene Edison, brings culinary credibility, investment experience, and deep local roots through the Edison Group. Grind's influence shows up in numbers that don't fit neatly on balance sheets. Dozens of Black entrepreneurs have moved through its programs. Annual events like GrindFest now draw thousands from across the Southeast, transforming a coffee shop into a regional convening force. Recognition followed quickly, with Grind consistently ranked among North Carolina's standout minority-owned businesses and top coffee destinations. There's a deeper historical echo here. Asheville's original Black business districts were fractured by urban renewal decades ago. Grind feels like a modern response, rebuilding economic density through collaboration, visibility, and shared infrastructure. So, community power laid the groundwork at Grind. Now let's talk about a builder trusted with arenas, hospitals, and some of the biggest contracts in the state. Number 8. D.A. Everett Construction Group, Charlotte/Raleigh. When a city hands you the keys to its NBA arena, it's sending a very clear message. This firm can handle anything. D.A. Everett Construction Group earned that message the hard way. Through years of disciplined growth, technical competence, and a reputation for delivering when the spotlight is brightest. Founded in 2013 by Donovan Everett, the company's rise has been anything but accidental. Everett studied business management at North Carolina State University and sharpened his construction skills working with global firm Balfour Beatty. By the time he launched his own company, he understood both the financial and operational sides of large-scale construction, a combination that shows up in the firm's trajectory. D.A. Everett Construction Group holds an unlimited general contractor license across North Carolina, South Carolina, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, opening doors to projects that smaller firms can't even bid on. That access paid off in a major way with the Remagene Spectrum Center renovation in Charlotte, a $215 million overhaul of the Hornets' home arena. The project included upgraded seating, modernized concourses, and reimagined hospitality spaces, all completed under intense public and operational scrutiny. The firm's portfolio extends far beyond sports. Healthcare facilities for Novant Health, renovations at Bojangles Coliseum, and multiple Charlotte-Mecklenburg police precincts highlight a breadth of work that blends civic trust with commercial scale. These projects require coordination with city agencies, safety regulators, and community stakeholders, a complex dance that few firms execute well. Geographically, the company keeps moving. Offices in Charlotte and Raleigh anchor its North Carolina presence, while operations in the U.S. Virgin Islands signal ambition beyond state lines. Partnerships with Hornets, sports and entertainment have even led to workforce development initiatives, tying major contracts to community opportunity. Everett himself remains deeply connected, serving on boards like First Bank of North Carolina and Big Brothers Big Sisters, reinforcing cross-sector influence. Ranked among the Charlotte Business Journal's fastest-growing companies and listed as one of the largest Black-owned businesses in the region, D.A. Everett Construction Group represents a new tier of scale. From working around construction sites as a teenager to overseeing arena-scale transformations, Everett's story mirrors his company's rise: steady, strategic, and built to last. But while the stadiums and skylines are impressive, here's how our next company turned government contracts into an empire, operating at a scale only a few people ever reach. Number 7. GMS Construction, Raleigh, NC. Let me ask you this. How many Black woman-owned construction firms do you know that build hospitals, develop housing, self-perform their work, and operate across 4 states? If you're struggling to name one, that tells a lot about the significance of GMS Construction. Headquartered in Raleigh, GMS isn't loud about its dominance, but the footprint tells its own story. Founded in the early 2000s by Black women entrepreneurs, the firm grew deliberately in an industry that rarely leaves room for error, let alone second chances. And instead of chasing flashy one-off projects, GMS designed a business model that prioritizes control, margin, and long-term stability. The defining move? GMS is a self-performing general contractor. That means they don't just manage projects. They execute critical trade work with in-house crews. In construction, that's a power play. It tightens schedules, improves quality control, and protects margins in ways subcontract-heavy firms can't replicate. For minority-owned companies, sustaining this model at scale is notoriously difficult. GMS made it the backbone. Geographically, the firm refuses to stay boxed in. Beyond North Carolina, GMS operates in Virginia, Texas, and Ohio, a spread that places it among the most geographically diverse Black-owned contractors in the Southeast and Midwest. That kind of reach doesn't happen accidentally. It requires serious bonding capacity, multi-state compliance systems, and insurance structures many firms never outgrow. Sector-wise, GMS is playing the long game. Healthcare facilities across the Raleigh-Durham region anchor the portfolio, joined by affordable housing developments, mixed-use residential builds, commercial corridors, and public sector projects. Notice the pattern? These aren't luxury condos or speculative builds. Healthcare and housing are recession-resistant by design, backed by institutional funding and public-private financing. When markets tighten, GMS doesn't panic. It stays booked. And here's the subtle genius. While smaller firms get stuck navigating permits and regulations, GMS runs dedicated compliance operations paired with self-performing labor pools. That combination unlocks access to RFPs most contractors can't touch. A Black woman-owned firm building hospitals and homes across 4 states without outsourcing its core work is what we can call a structural disruption. Now, from concrete and cranes, we move to something even harder to build. A financial institution that survived segregation, crashes, and consolidation without ever selling its soul. Number 6. Mechanics and Farmers Bank, statewide. Imagine opening a bank account at an institution founded way before cars were common, before civil rights laws existed, and before Black Americans were even allowed to dream of fair credit. Now, imagine that bank still operating today, not as a museum piece, but as a working engine of capital. That's Mechanics and Farmers Bank. Founded in 1907 and headquartered in Durham, Mechanics and Farmers Bank is the oldest Black-owned bank in North Carolina, and one of the rare Black banks nationwide with a true multi-branch footprint. Durham, Raleigh, Greensboro, Charlotte, each location is strategic, not symbolic. This bank didn't survive by nostalgia. It survived by relevance. During the early 20th century, Durham's Black Wall Street became one of the most prosperous Black economic ecosystems in America. Physicians, attorneys, contractors, insurers, they all needed capital. Mechanics and Farmers didn't just serve those businesses, it helped create them, providing loans when white-owned banks shut their doors. Fast forward a century, and the resilience reads like a survival manual. Jim Crow exclusion, the Great Depression, civil rights upheaval, banking consolidation in the 1980s, the 2008 financial crisis, COVID. The list of institutions that didn't make it is long. Mechanics and Farmers is still standing. Today, the bank manages an estimated $180 to $220 million in assets and operates as part of the FDIC Community Banking Network. Its services span commercial lending, SBA loans, small business credit lines, mortgages, and community development financing. In practical terms, that means many Black-owned businesses across North Carolina, including contractors and developers like those on this list, rely on Mechanics and Farmers to keep deals moving. What's especially striking is modernization. Mobile banking, online lending applications, digital business services. This is not a bank frozen in time. It competes technologically with regional institutions while maintaining a community-first lending philosophy that larger banks abandoned long ago. And while this bank financed the builders, the next company became one, then supercharged its growth with one of the smartest acquisitions in Charlotte's construction scene. Number 5. RLJ Leeper Construction, Charlotte. Here's a quiet reality of construction. Surviving 30 years is harder than growing fast. RLJ Leeper Construction did both, and then pulled off a rare third act that pushed it into a new league. Founded in 1994 by Ronald J. Leeper, the company built its reputation the old-fashioned way. Consistent delivery, client trust, and projects that didn't need excuses. For nearly 3 decades, RLJ Leeper operated as a steady regional general contractor in Charlotte, navigating boom cycles, recessions, and one of the most competitive construction markets in the Southeast. Then came 2021. That year, RLJ Leeper Construction was acquired by Bright Hope Capital, a Black-led growth equity firm focused on scaling high-potential minority businesses. This wasn't a sell-off or a bailout. It was a strategic acceleration. The deal injected institutional governance, growth capital, and operational infrastructure, exactly what mid-sized contractors need to break through bidding ceilings. The impact was immediate. Post-acquisition, RLJ Leeper began competing more aggressively on large hospitality renovations, commercial office build-outs, retail revitalizations, and institutional expansions. Think mid- to 7- to 8-figure contracts, repeated wins on healthcare and government RFPs, and higher billing velocity across multiple projects at once. Charlotte Business Journal consistently ranks RLJ Leeper as the largest Black-owned construction firm in Charlotte, with frequent appearances on Fast 50 growth lists. Those rankings aren't popularity contests, they're revenue and performance-driven. What makes this story particularly compelling is what didn't change. RLJ Leeper's leadership philosophy remained intact. Workforce development stayed central. Minority hiring and training didn't disappear under institutional pressure. The acquisition didn't dilute identity. It amplified capacity. In construction, many minority-owned firms hit a ceiling when bonding limits, insurance thresholds, or cash flow constraints block access to mega projects. Bright Hope Capital removed those barriers without erasing ownership or mission. That's rare, but it worked. From local GC to regional force, the company now helps shape Charlotte's skyline with a balance of legacy and leverage. Next up is a company that doesn't build the skyline but keeps North Carolina clean, compliant, and operational at a scale most people never even notice. Number 4. Environmental Service Systems, ESS. Charlotte, NC. If you've ever walked into a spotless hospital at 6 a.m., or a corporate campus that somehow runs like clockwork every single day, here's a question worth asking. Who actually makes that happen? More often than not in Charlotte, the answer is Environmental Service Systems, even if you've never heard the name. Founded in 1998 by Edgar Ruth, ESS sits in one of the least glamorous corners of American business: integrated facility services. Janitorial, sanitation, maintenance, operational support. The kind of work nobody applauds until it stops getting done. And yet, ESS has turned that background industry into an approximately $45 million annual revenue machine, employing roughly 700 people and ranking consistently among Charlotte's top 3 Black-owned businesses by revenue. Ruth's story explains a lot about the company's DNA. Before launching ESS, he held a senior executive role as a vice president at Initial Cleaning Services. Walking away from that kind of security wasn't a romantic leap. It was a calculated risk taken by someone who understood margins, contracts, and client psychology from the inside. ESS wasn't built on hype. It was built on operational discipline. What separates ESS from smaller service firms is scale paired with retention. Facility services are notoriously low margin, meaning profitability lives and dies by labor management and long-term contracts. ESS cracked that equation by focusing on quality assurance, workforce stability, and cross-industry diversification. Healthcare systems, educational institutions, industrial facilities, and corporate campuses all sit inside its client mix, which spreads risk while keeping revenue consistent. Recognition followed performance. ESS has appeared repeatedly on the Charlotte Business Journal's Fast 50 list and ranked 3rd among Charlotte's largest Black-owned companies by revenue in multiple consecutive years. That kind of consistency matters more than a one-year spike, especially in a labor-heavy industry where most firms struggle to survive past their first decade. In 2023, ESS crossed its 25-year milestone, an achievement that quietly places it among the most durable service firms in the region, regardless of ownership. National contracts, multi-state operations, and corporate certifications like NMSD C Corporate Plus status have pushed the company into rooms typically reserved for far larger players. A janitorial firm doing tens of millions annually may not sound flashy, but ESS proves that boring, when executed perfectly, can be extraordinarily powerful. Now, from keeping buildings running smoothly, we move to a company that takes forgotten buildings and turns them into engines of value. Number 3. Red Hill Ventures, Charlotte, North Carolina. Some developers chase shiny new land. Red Hill Ventures prefers the overlooked, the underpriced, and the someone should really do something with that properties most people drive past without a second glance. And that mindset has quietly turned the firm into one of Charlotte's most interesting Black-owned real estate powerhouses. Headquartered in Charlotte and led by Johnny Harris, Red Hill Ventures operates at the intersection of real estate investment, development, and asset management. The firm's estimated annual revenue falls somewhere between $10 million and $50 million, but that number understates its real influence. The portfolio under development stretches into the hundreds of millions when you aggregate projects across North Carolina, Texas, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. What makes Red Hill distinct is its comfort with complexity. Instead of simple land flips, the firm leans heavily into adaptive reuse, flex industrial projects, and mixed-use redevelopment. The kind of work that requires patience, capital discipline, and a deep understanding of zoning, transit planning, and community dynamics. Take the Wilkinson Steel Yard in Charlotte. Spread across more than 5 acres and offering roughly 75,000 square feet of flex industrial space, the project sits near key transit corridors that position it for long-term appreciation. Or consider the Park and Shop redevelopment, where a historic grocery site was transformed into creative office and retail space without erasing the cultural memory attached to the location. These aren't just buildings, they're urban resets. Red Hill's portfolio also includes multifamily developments ranging from 110 to over 300 units, retail and office assets, and industrial parks that many institutional investors once dismissed as unsexy. Even ventures like the City Kitch, a shared commercial kitchen concept scaled into Charlotte and Greensboro, show the firm's willingness to mix real estate with operating businesses. Behind the scenes, Red Hill functions like a vertically integrated development house, blending direct development, asset management, and strategic capital deployment. It's not speculation, it's systems thinking. The result is a developer that operates where capital, policy, and community interests overlap. Red Hill doesn't just follow growth, it anticipates it, often buying before transit expansions and rezoning decisions push values higher. And while Red Hill builds value one property at a time, the next entry shows what happens when media money gets transformed into permanent, institutional capital. Number 2. RLJ Companies, North Carolina footprint. Most entertainment fortunes burn bright and fade fast. Robert L. Johnson took a very different path, one that quietly made him one of the most influential black capital allocators in modern American history. Johnson founded BET in 1980, building it into a cultural juggernaut before selling it to Viacom in 2001 for roughly $3 billion. That deal made him the first black billionaire in U.S. history. But the real story begins after the headlines faded. Instead of chasing celebrity ventures, Johnson founded RLJ Companies, a diversified investment platform focused on hospitality, real estate, private equity, and financial services. At the center of that ecosystem sits RLJ Lodging Trust, one of the largest publicly traded hotel REITs in the country. As of the first half of 2025, the hotel portfolio generated approximately $691 million in operating revenue and spans more than 90 properties globally. These aren't boutique experiments. They're institutional-grade assets producing recurring cash flow through room sales, food and beverage operations, and long-term brand partnerships. North Carolina plays a meaningful role in that footprint. RLJ-affiliated hotels operate across Charlotte, the Raleigh-Durham corridor, Greensboro, and Asheville, markets where corporate travel, conventions, and tourism intersect. While individual property revenues aren't broken out publicly, their performance feeds directly into RLJ's consolidated results, tying Johnson's empire to the state's economic pulse. What makes RLJ exceptional is durability. The portfolio endured the post-9/11 travel collapse, the 2008 financial crisis, hospitality oversupply cycles, and the COVID shutdowns. Many entertainment-derived fortunes didn't survive even one of those shocks. RLJ's did, because hotels, when structured correctly, are infrastructure assets, not lifestyle bets. Johnson's genius was not just creating wealth, but also converting cultural capital into permanent capital. Governance discipline, REIT structures, and institutional reporting standards turned a media exit into a long-term cash engine measured in hundreds of millions annually. And now, we arrive at the top, an institution whose reach touches nearly every corner of North Carolina's economy, whether people realize it or not. Number 1. Strategic Education Inc. NC operations. Here's an interesting question. If North Carolina's workforce had a silent architect, who would it be? Not a tech unicorn, not a stadium builder, and not even a bank, but an education company most people only notice when tuition is due. That's exactly why Strategic Education, the parent company of Strayer University, earns the top spot on this list. At a glance, the numbers already tell a different story than most businesses we've covered. Strategic Education pulled in roughly $1.2 billion in revenue in 2024, employs over 3,800 people, and serves more than 100,000 students globally through Strayer, Capella, and its workforce platforms. That kind of scale quietly places it in the same economic weight class as mid-sized public universities, except this one operates without state budget drama or legislative gridlock. Strayer's roots stretch all the way back to 1892, when it began as a business college focused on practical skills rather than ivory tower theory. That DNA never really left. Fast forward a century and some change, and the company has evolved into a multi-engine education enterprise that blends traditional degrees, online programs, and corporate workforce training into one highly efficient machine. Their biggest financial move came in 2018 when Strayer merged with Capella in a massive $1.9 billion deal, followed by international expansion shortly after. Those weren't flashy bets, but structural decisions designed for longevity. And speaking of longevity, it is the actual flex here. Very few education companies survive regulatory shifts, online disruption, and changing labor markets for over 130 years. Strayer not only did that, but kept scaling brilliantly. North Carolina plays a meaningful role in that system. Through physical campuses and, more importantly, online enrollment, thousands of working adults across Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, and beyond earn degrees in business, IT, healthcare administration, public service, and education. These aren't 18-year-olds chasing campus vibes. They're professionals upgrading credentials at night, between shifts, or on weekends. Ever wonder how so many people reskill without leaving their jobs? This is one of the answers. What really separates strategic education from legacy institutions is diversification. Alongside Strayer and Capella, the company runs platforms like Workforce Edge, which partners with more than 1,400 employers to subsidize employee education, plus skills-focused offerings like Sophia Learning, Dev Mountain, and Hackbright Academy. Degrees bring stability. Workforce programs bring flexibility. Together, they smooth out enrollment cycles and keep revenue remarkably steady. So while other businesses build skylines or headline-grabbing brands, this one builds something less visible but far more durable: people. And when you realize how much of North Carolina's workforce flows through its programs, you start to see why this boring education company sits comfortably at number 1. And these were the 10 largest Black-owned businesses from North Carolina. Which one did you find the most impressive? Let us know in the comments, and for more such amazing videos about wealth and luxury, take a look at Global Status.